Now while you're watching this video, please remember to like, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon for notification of future videos and share this video also. Thank you.
Yes, hello there, welcome back to my channel, guys. Yes, so today I have yet again another exciting topic for you. As you can see, the title suggests how to manage being a Christian and an empath, right? This is what we want to talk about today. You may be asking me, why do I choose to do a topic such as this? There are two reasons. One, I myself is an empath who is a Christian, and two, there are a lot of difficulties and disadvantages with being an empath, right? And when you're a Christian and you know in yourself that you're an empath, it's not very easy to salvage, you being an empath and a Christian at the same time. In other words, it's not easy to basically control or to manage the disadvantage that comes from being an empath, right? Because on the one hand, if you try to manage those disadvantages, you may end up not carrying out the biblical requirements that says that we should love one another as we love ourselves. So it is very difficult. I struggle with this difficulty as a Christian and being an empath at the same time, because the Bible bounds me to basically love one another. So I suspect that there may very well be other Christians, right, who are empaths at the same time, and I know the struggles of being an empath. So I have thought about it, given thought to it, and I've came up with some ways in which you can remedy those disadvantages that comes with being an empath, right, for your own sake. And the second reason why I'm doing a video like this is because I have an upcoming video, right, where I will talk about church hurts, right? In my video titled "A Prior Request to My Subscribers," I was telling you that I was going through some things, but I wasn't open in stating all the things that I was going through. Over time, I made mention of some of the things that I went through. One of them was my sexual urges, right? I think I've done several videos on that. You can find it in the playlist section on titled, I believe it's Social Issues and or A Message for Christians. One of those two playlists it should be in, right? And when on my reaction video to Kirk Franklin, where I talk about I had similar issues with my mother as how he had issues with his son, right? And I stated in the video that part of what I was going through last year was household issues. I wasn't open with everything on that video, right, titled a request for prayer. But there are two other things that I was going through last year, right? One of which I won't say. I don't think I will ever mention it on this video, on this channel, because I really don't think it's appropriate. If I feel led to, if God tell me, Kisma, you should speak about this, perhaps it can edify someone else, then I might speak about it, right? But so we are down to two things, one of which I won't say unless the Holy Spirit bids me to, but the other one now is church hurt, right? That I've been wanting to. There are several times you would have heard me mention about the difficulties of all things religious, why it will experience difficulty growing, and that I don't have the support unit that I would want to, right? When I do my video on church hurt, you will understand more about what is really happening. So in order to do that video, this video here is like a video that is going to basically lay the foundation for that video, right? Me being an empath, right? And how several blows was dealt to me by virtue of being an empath, and all of that happened in last year, right? The other thing that I don't say, I say I won't mention, still has to do with me being an empath, right? It still has a lot to do with me being an empath. So I experienced some church hurt. We all go through it being in Adventism, but I experienced more And it could have been prevented, I believe, if it weren't for the fact that I am a certain type of person, which is an empath. Right? So this is the reason why I'm saying all of this. When I do this video, it will make it easier for me to talk about the church hurt, and I'll end up saying less, being able to narrow or to control the time of the video. In a world such as this, right, being an empath, right, can be very, very challenging. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a definition of what an empath is. Here's what the definition says. The term empath comes from empathy, which is the ability to understand the experiences and feelings of others outside of your own perspective. You actually sense and feel emotions as if they are part of your own experience. In other words, someone else's pain and happiness becomes your pain and happiness. Right? Someone else's pain and happiness can become your own pain and happiness. Guys, 2020 helped me to discover that I was an empath. Having more time to myself because of the lockdown, COVID-19, yes, is wrecking my country. For some point in time, I was at home. Many times I'm at home because of COVID. You know, we are told at work that we have to stay home for a time and so forth. I used the time to learn a lot of things, and throughout that time, I understood that I was an empath, and that was the best thing that could ever happen to me. Because then I realized why so many things happen to me in life and why I make so many mistakes, right? But here's the problem. I told myself that I wanted to move away from being an empath, but I struggle with some difficulties. How can I move? Because the Bible would basically gear you towards being an empath, you know. Because empath by nature are loving and caring people and caring persons. So when the Bible tells you that you should love one another as yourself, it's easy for an empath. Now, all of us feel empathy towards people, you know, every now and again. You know, you can feel empathy towards someone and not necessarily be an empath. But for an empath feels empathy for people every single time. It's not a 1 or 2 time thing, it's every single time. And not only that, an empath goes above and beyond to both please people, right? They go above and beyond to please people, and this can be very challenging. When you read in I think it's 2 Timothy chapter 3, it tells you that in the last days perilous times shall come, right? And one of the things that will happen in the last days, just give me a second, guys. One of the things that will happen in the last days is that persons will be unthankful. They will be traitors, truce breakers, right? They won't have natural affection and so forth, meaning they won't even have the affection that they should have to even blood, even towards blood. People will be lovers of pleasures more than God, right? They will be lovers of them own self, selfish. They will be covetous, right? They will be irreconcilable, or they will be unforgiving, right? And here's what worse. Verse 5 says, they will have a form of godliness, but will deny the power thereof. But what I'm happy that Timothy said is that from such you should turn away, right? So these type of people, you should avoid them. Seek to somewhat distance yourself from them. It's not saying that you're going to malice them, you know, but you should distance yourself from them, because persons like those, they can affect you mentally. Their behavior can affect you mentally, it can affect you emotionally, and it may affect you spiritually as well, and it can have a negative impact on you. So I'm very glad that the Bible authorizes that you should turn away from those type of people. Move far away from them. You understand? Take it from the host of all things religious. I have lived and I have learned, I'm telling you, where empathy is concerned. Right? You're reading in Luke chapter 17, I believe, when Jesus was healed 10 lepers, and only one of them come back and tell him thanks. Only one of them, Jesus asked them, where the... Yes, you should seek to understand people. You should seek to love them and so forth, right? But at the same time, if you're not careful, you can end up hurting your own self, right? Simply because of these things that exist in mankind today, which is written in 2 Timothy chapter 3. Yes, you can end up hurting yourself. Virgin, I've had times where I've been bitter, so bitter in my life because of being an empath. I always go above and beyond to please people. Empaths are loyal by nature, right? And here's why. Because if persons do something good for you, as an empath, you're going to want to reciprocate the same. Because you just care about people, you're not going to feel good that someone do something for you and you don't do it back for them. As an empath, that is how empaths are. Another side note, they say that empaths are good in bed, but we talk about that at another time. I don't know if you heard me well what I said. I just said a while ago that it's also said that empaths are oftentimes good in bed. Yeah, that is true. I can attest to that. We seek to please people, right? Because that is how we are. And what can happen sometimes? We can end up get left out and it can leave a bad feeling inside. You know, like you're sucking lime, right? It can leave that type of feeling inside and leave you very bitter. I've dealt with bitterness before, right? I think I have a video on bitterness, right? And I felt inspired by my own story, right? In dealing with bitterness. And I said to myself, I don't want to do it none at all again. So I'm learning to forgive and I'm learning to establish boundaries and protect myself, right? And in establishing boundaries, this is what I want to talk to you guys about. Yes, it is good to feel empath, or empathy should say. As a matter of fact, Jesus often felt empathy. He would often say, I have compassion on the multitude and so forth and things like those. He's always helping and doing good. His actions is a testament that he's an empath by nature. But hey, you are not Jesus. Remember that Jesus had a specific mission on earth to seek and to save the lost. While we were given that mandate, at the end of the day, we are not Christ. So while we should follow his example and walk after him, at the same time, right, we lack all the things that Jesus had. For instance, Jesus was a person who knew, the Bible said he knew all men and what was in them. Jesus, because of his relationship with God, the Father, he could oftentimes tell what is in a person's heart. We don't have that luxury to know real or fake. Jesus knew who was even going to betray him. You understand? And who was going to deny him. Jesus knew all those things. We don't have that luxury. You understand? To know who is fake and who isn't. So as a result of that, you are to protect yourself, guys. The body of Christ doesn't consist of the hand alone. Remember that there are many Christians as well as yourself, you know. All of us should be helping one another and doing good. If every Christian do the little that they can do, then the world will be changed completely. Don't think in yourself that it's up to you to save the world. This is why the body of Christ doesn't consist of only a hand or a foot. No. There are many Christians like yourself who should be doing good and should be helping one another. So don't think it upon yourself that it's your duty to save everybody or it's your duty to help everyone. No. You don't make up the entire body. Yes, do what you can do and when you can do it. But if you're not able to do it, right, and you can't do it, there is no need to feel guilt or feel a burden, which is what empaths often feel, a burden to help and to do good. There is no need to feel such burden, right, because it is not up to you to love everybody and save the world. Yes, the Bible says, owe no man anything but to love them. That is true. But if you're not in a capacity, right, to actually give a certain type of love, how can you work miracles? If you understand what I'm saying, right? And at the same time, you have to love yourself, right, before you can love someone. You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of someone. So let me give an example. You're going to school and you're pumping your money into education. How can you get up every single day and be giving people your money? How will you get to finish your schooling and save up and to do what you want to do? Right? Versus if you save to do what you want to do, because education is an investment, you know. When you would have acquired your education, imagine the pay that you're going to get. You realize you would be able to do far more than what you could do then when you were giving the little to nothing that you never had. You see the point that I'm making? So you have to first help yourself before you can help others. Guys, what I'm telling you now is things that I had to learn the hard way. At one point in time, even my mother had to give me a fine piece of cussing out. Yes, because I would give away everything that I have and leave myself for dead. That's the kind of person that I am, and as a result of that, I always find myself in some situations where I'm feeling hurt and down. Yeah, so I'm telling you this, that if you're an empath and you're a Christian, right, you have to learn to set boundaries and tell yourself that you can't help everyone and you can't save everyone. And at the end of the day, while the person that you're seeking to help matters, you matter too as well. Right? I'm not encouraging you to be selfish, but take for instance, an empath, you know, are praised to toxic relationship, you know. Because if you're in a relationship that is toxic and you should really dump the person that you're with, reason tell you that you should dump them. If that person happens to be dependent upon you, trust me, it's going to be very hard for you to do so as an empath, because you're going to feel sorry for them. You're going to suck up to all their BS and you might never leave. You may become trapped in that. I think there's a term for it, you know. I think it's trauma bond. I think it's trauma bond, you know, yes. Where empaths are praised to be in trauma bonded. As an empath, you're afraid to be trauma bonded and being in toxic situations because you don't want, you feel sorry for the person and so forth. At the end of the day, your happiness matters and you matter. You can love someone and not be in a relationship with them. You can love someone and still not be talking to them on a daily basis. You can avoid their toxicity, you know, right? And still love them at the same time. You get what I'm saying? You just have to know how to do your thing. So I've spent much time and I've shown you the disadvantages of being an empath and how to salvage those. But hey, being an empath is not so bad. And here now I'm going to tell you the advantage of being an empath. As an empath, you have a capacity. You have more of a capacity to feel, more of a capacity. You have more of a capacity to exhibit certain emotions and sensitivity. And as a result of this, this is a huge advantage because you're like this as an empath. You can feel energies and so forth. You can feel energies, right? And even though that is a double-edged sword, you know, because when you're able to feel the energies of persons and you take it all in, you can become drained sometime, you know. You understand, by the things that are happening and you feel so sorry about everything that is happening, you can become drained. I've had to deal with that sometime, and I believe that sometime I lose sleep because of that. Being an empath, I'm thinking about things and worrying about things and so forth, and it costs me sleep at night. But the advantage, I'm still on the advantage, you know. You can read people very effectively as an empath because you feel emotions and you feel energies. It's like even my co-workers, you know, I always tell them, you know, don't think I'm stupid. There are times even when my own supervisor will say to me, say, yes, Mr. Givens, then things you're clueless and you don't have a clue what's going on, but they will be surprised to know. True, because I'm very observant. Most person, they don't know that about me. I'll be there and you think I'm just minding my own business, you know, and you don't know that everything that you're doing, I'm seeing it and I'm observing what you're doing, right? I'm listening to what you're saying. And I'm listening how you're saying it too as well. I check your response and how you respond and everything. That is how empaths are. And that's the biggest mistake that people oftentimes make with empaths, including myself. I can't help myself, you know, because as empaths, you know, as empaths, we're wired to feel things. Because we try to put ourselves into person's shoes by virtue of being an empath, that is how we get to understand people. So empaths often try to see a person's perspective and so forth, right? So as a result of that, it makes us easy to understand people. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, one of my biggest problems in life is that sometimes I wish persons understood me as much as I understand them. Right? Because I'm an empath, to be honest with you, oftentimes I find myself being able to tell more about a person than they can tell about me. And most persons whom I know, I can guarantee you, if both of us should be tested, you'd found that I actually know more about them than they know about me. It happens with me when it comes to friends, right? When it comes to relationship, just about everyone. Unless I'm with a person who is an empath as well, it's highly likely that I'll know more about them and understand them than they know about me and understand me. Because empaths, that's what we do. We try to understand people. So you don't have to talk to an empath and struggle to get them to listen to you and understand you. No. It's what we are about. So you see the positive things about empaths, it's what we are about. But that same thing, you know, understanding persons can be a negative at the same time. Because when you're seeking to understand people and you try to understand motives and so forth, sometimes you can end up, you may end up excusing people's behavior. That's one of the downsides. Because you're trying to understand them, you may not judge them accurately, and you may end up finding excuse for their behavior because you sympathize with them and so forth, and you say, "Cho, he's been through so much," and so forth. You can end up giving excuse to people's behavior rather than holding them accountable for the things that they do. Which is why earlier I said that empaths are prey to toxic people and narcissists. Because when you should dump their ass, you're going to want to feel sorry for them and excuse the behavior and try to understand why they do what they do. So the negatives and positives are very great. And as I say, because you're always thinking, you're thinking about what people say and how they say it, the possibility always arises that you can misjudge a person too, you know. Yes, you can misjudge them. So how do I salvage the positives and the negatives? How do I deal with the negatives? Misjudging people, right, is that I pray about it. So something may seem odd to me about someone, I don't go with it right away. I try to wait and ask God for more evidence. You understand, before I say anything, because I don't want to misjudge anyone. You understand? And at the same time, I ask God to give me the wisdom in knowing when I'm actually excusing a person's behavior, or give me the wisdom to know when to excuse a particular behavior or hold someone accountable, right, for what they did. Right, guys? And so, yes, this is the reality of being an empath. If you're a Christian who is an empath, learn to establish boundaries. You understand? Don't try to save everybody. You can't save the world. You understand? Ask God for wisdom, right? To let you not misread what you're feeling and detecting, right? Let him ask him for wisdom to show you when persons are fake, who you should stay far from, and show you when you should actually try to reach out and actually help someone. So this is the reality of an empath, and these are what you have to salvage, right, as an empath. Remember 2 Timothy chapter 3, the last days, how they are going to act religious and so forth. You have to watch out for those serpents and vampires, you know. You understand? So you ask the Lord for wisdom to show you, you understand, so that you can turn away or move away from those persons, right? And love them from a distance, if possible, for your own sake. Now I end this video. I do hope that you enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned, right, for another amazing video like this. Bye bye now.